Seán Keating was born in Limerick in 1889. He died in Dublin in 1977. He became one of Ireland's best-known political painters, among other things. He arrived to Dublin in 1911 to the Dublin Metropolitan School of Art, where he trained under William Orpin, among others. It's very important to remember that the Dublin Metropolitan School of Art at the time was a hive of political activity. The two Pearse brothers were there, Willie and Porrick. Willie was teaching Irish, Countess Markievicz was there, and everybody was really heading towards 1916 and what happened in 1916. Keating became very well known for a series of political paintings, the first of which was painted in 1915, shown in 1917. It's called Men of the West, and it is actually in the Hugh Lane Gallery. And he finished that series of political paintings with an allegory, which he painted in 1924, and that's the painting at which he moves away from violent separatist nationalism. But up until that point, like many in the School of Art, he adhered to the notion of violence and separatist nationalism. One of his very good friends was Seán Moylan, and Seán Moylan headed up one of the Cork secret, what they called flying columns. And it was while doing Seán Moylan's portrait in 1922 that Keating said to him that he'd like to paint one of the columns, which of course was a very unusual thing to do because these guys were working in secret and they trained in secret. But it was organised between Keating and Moylan and nobody knew about it. And there came a time in 1922 when there was a knock on the School of Art door. And the School of Art was empty because the classes they're not running because there was bombs in Dublin, etc. And so there was a sort of a hollow knock on the door, and the porter opened the door, and there was a gang of guys outside with Cork accents and big guns, and they said, "We want to see Keating." And the porter ran up the stairs and he said to Keating, "I think you're going to be shot. I think you're going to be shot." And Keating said, "No, no, no, let them up." Now what happened then was a series of two very famous paintings called Men of the South version 1 and Men of the South version 2. Both sets of paintings were done from a series of photographs, and it's important to remember they were done from photographs because the guys were in Dublin and they had to get out quick. The photographs were taken, the guys left and probably went back down to Cork on the train. Version 1 showed Jim Reardon, Dennis Milan, Jane Cashman, Seán Moylan, as seen here, Mick Sullivan, John Jones, Roger Kiley and Dan Brown. A number of months later, Keating decided to do version 2 of this painting. Version 1, by the way, is owned by the government and government buildings. Version 2, for the purposes of political expediency, Seán Moylan was removed, so was Mick Sullivan, because they were becoming very well known. It was a danger, therefore, for them to be seen in the painting. So version 2, which is the version in the Cork Gallery, shows Jim Reardon, John Jones, James Cashman standing in place of Moylan, Dennis Milan, Roger Kiley and Dan Brown. And interestingly, Keating first showed this painting in the Munster Art Exhibition in 1922, just at the cessation of the Wars of Independence. In 1924, Keating applied to the Department of Education and the School of Art for time off to paint a series of history paintings. He was horrified by the violence of the Civil War that we can't even imagine now. And the Department of Education turned his request down by saying, "The sooner we forget all these things, the better." And what did he do? Well, he had to stay in the School of Art, but he went on and he painted a whole series of different types of paintings. They weren't political paintings, but different types of paintings that told the story of Ireland. But that is another story.